So back in 2010 or so, I came across this video game called Artemis Spaceship Bridge Simulator. Have you guys heard of that?
Heck yeah.
So one person has. So I'll explain briefly what it is. The basic idea of the game is you want to simulate the bridge of the Starship Enterprise. So you have a bunch of computers that are all on your network, say maybe 5 or 6. And one of the computers is hooked up to a big projector and it shows the view out the front of the spaceship. And then you have one of the computers is for navigation, one is for weapons, one is for engineering, one is for communications, all the different stations on the Enterprise. And then you go fly around with your friends and shoot stuff in space, basically. So I thought, so my main problem with Artemis is it runs on Windows, and I didn't have a Windows system, and I'm not going to go buy one just to play this game. But at the same time, it sounded like a pretty cool idea. So I said, well, maybe I can do that. So I started working on it, and that was 8 years ago. Of course, at first I started, and it was really daunting project. So I worked on it for a couple months, and then kind of gave up on it. And then 2 years later, I started up again, and I've been working on it ever since.
So do you have a room set up like the bridge?
That is the idea. Where is my mouse? Ah, there it is. So let me see if I can shrink this down where it'll fit. So that ideally you would do that, but what we typically do is just drag a bunch of computers into a room. We have a projector and a screen. We sit at some tables and do it that way. All right, where is my mouse? I've got to. Is it on that screen? Is it over here? I keep losing it. Oh, there it is. It's so tiny.
That's not the original Star Trek, is it?
No, because of course, I mean, I say Star Trek, but of course that's owned by Paramount. Let's see if I can. And so you can't really use those characters or those names. So I have some generic spaceship, and so the name of my game is called Space Nerds in Space, and it's on GitHub. It runs on Linux. You can it's GPL, so you can just go clone it off of GitHub, compile it, and run it. So if you guys are interested, you could run it here and probably have some fun.
Yeah, we've done that a couple times. We've had Artemis or whatever. There's another clone of Artemis. Can't remember what it's called, but we've actually done that a few times.
So I'm just running one computer instead of the 5 or 6, but this computer can perform all of the functions, so you'll be able to see all of the stuff. So this is the main view out of the front of the spaceship. Nothing but stars at this point. This is the navigation screen. So this would be your navigator, and the blue ship in the center is your ship, and then there's planets and stuff. So that is the navigation screen. Here's your weapon screen. So this is more Millennium Falcon than Star Trek, because you have a turret that you can spin around and shoot torpedoes and shoot stuff with. It's a little hard to drive it from this particular weird angle I'm at, but I'm doing the best I can. This is your engineering screen. You have some presets. So I can turn everything off or turn everything on, or I can go individually adjust all these different things. So the yellow bars are how much power you're giving to all the different systems on the ship. The blue is the coolant, and this is kind of the status of all the different things. And then here you have a damage control robot that you can drive around and go and repair stuff. I mean, this is kind of a little mini game thing. And then you have a science thing where you have this little beam that you can swing around and click on things. And then go over here to... so in the middle is your ship, and then around is the different various stuff that's around you. So...
Do the people fight against you?
They will. I'm trying to read this. It's hard to read at this weird angle. Okay. So you can click and see details. Well, now let's see. He went out of. There you go. So there's a star base that you can go dock at. Let's see. There's a communications where you can, like, you can hail the star bases and ask them for things. I won't go into all the gory details. It's fully 3D, unlike Artemis, so you can yaw, pitch, roll, all that good stuff. Let's see, there's a warp drive, which I can demonstrate, but I got to give it some power. Once the warp drive is charged up, then I'm just warping in a random direction. So you get the typical Star Trek or Star Wars kind of effect, although I think I went such a short distance you didn't really see it too much. But let's see, if we turn around, we should see the planet that we just came from, which is there. So you can zoom in. All these planets are procedurally generated, although not in the game. It's done offline. And then, so let's see, what else? There's a kind of game master screen, so if you want to go in and, so here's all the different things in the universe. There's a 3D mode, so, whoops. So here's the planet and all the kind of stuff that's floating around it. So you can move things around or add things or delete things, or it's a little tricky to get the hang of, but there's a lot of depth in there. Let's see, what else can I tell you about it? It's written in C. I made my own engine.
It's all local, it's not on the internet, right?
Correct. It's designed for LAN play. So each client probably consumes around 100 kilobytes a second. So it's a little hefty for over the internet. I have tried running the server on a DigitalOcean system in New York and running my client in Virginia. I mean, it kind of worked okay. There was a little bit of jumpiness here and there, but mostly it worked. So yeah, that's kind of basically it. It's called Space Nerds in Space. It's on GitHub. Knock yourselves out.
Does it have like Artemis, like pirates that are going around? Enemies?
There are, yeah, there. Let me see if I can. Well, so any ship that you see, like if I go on this screen, you can see. If I go around any of these planets, there's all of these. So this is an exaggerated scale. So that's a ship. That's an NPC ship right there, for example, being shot at. Looks like. If I turn off this, then this is the more real scale of how all the different things are compared to, say, the size of the planet. But they're hard to see. So I have this exaggerated scale thing so you can actually see the stuff. But yeah, you can fire upon any of these and they'll fight back, or they might just decide to fight at you for no reason. You can also do trading. You can go between the star bases and buy and sell stuff. You can mine from asteroids.
Now, are there different groups that are representing the people you're buying and selling from, and the people you're shooting at, or what?
There's 4 different factions of non-player character ships in the game. The differences between them are difficult to discern.
But they're run by the game, or they're run by other people?
They're run by the game. So you can have multiple crews if you want. Like you can have multiple, 2 or 3 different ships with 2 or 3 different crews that are manned by humans if you want to. It's difficult to get that many people together to play the game. I think the most people I've ever had play the game at once is maybe 11, just because it's hard.
And all your different screens are different computers that have loaded the same game?
Yeah, so there's a server that runs the simulation that has no UI, and then there's the clients, which run all these screens. And each one of the stations on your bridge would run the client. And you can lock it so that each client does one particular thing or one set of things and can't get to all of the screens, or you can leave it wide open. That's all configurable. So.
If somebody goes to GitHub, they download a C++ program and then they compile it?
Yeah, right now I don't distribute binaries because it's hard for Linux, but it's not too difficult to build. I have some instructions. If you go look at, let's see, where's my mouse? I can show you the website, which is spacenerdsinspace.com.
Needs another space in there.
Well, redundancy is good, right?
Or pronounce this like it's space nerds space in space.
Oh, I don't have any internet connection, so that's not going to work. It's spacenerdsinspace.com, and that will actually redirect you to a GitHub page, but it's easier to remember. And on that page, it has all the instructions for how to build the thing, all the dependencies you need. Now, I will say it is a Linux-only game at this point, so it makes it extra hard to find a crew. But I made this game with hackerspaces in mind, so this is the kind of place where you would find enough people to be able to play it. So.
Does it matter which flavor of Linux?
Shouldn't. I mean, nothing super ancient, I suppose. I've tried it on Ubuntu, Mint, which is another, I guess pretty much Ubuntu, but I think we've run it on Fedora at least once. It has run on Macs in the past, but not recently, maybe 4 years ago. So I don't know if it still runs on Macs, but it might. So anyway, any other questions? All right, spacenerdsinspace.com.